Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I have a fun activity today. We're going to start talking a little bit about animation. I hope you guys checked out my interview with Jerry Beck that happened this past Sunday. If you missed it, you can watch it on my YouTube page. We talked about animation, comics, bit of the history, just different things. It was a pretty cool time. And today I want to go over the most basic type of animation that there is. It is called I don't want to say it's the basic. It's the basic tutorial. So it's called squash and stretch. It's one of the techniques in animation. So let's just play the intro and get started. Hello, and thank you for joining again. The name is Butcher Noah, correct? So again, today we're going to do a little bit of squash and stretch. It's an animation technique. You could use paper for this, but I recommend index cards, have a series of them so we could flip through them. And this binder clip, maybe even a little tape. So here's an example of something I made just quickly, explaining what we're going to do today. This is the bouncing ball. Let's see if you can see it here. It's not the full bouncing ball, but it's just a little bit of it, and you guys can see it kind of move, right? And that's what I'm going to go over on my computer in an animation software. But for now, just pay attention to what I'm doing. You can take a series of 8.5 by 11 paper and fold it in half, and as long as you grip it tight. If you notice, after I use the index cards, I kind of, where's my camera? There it is. I kind of fold them so I have a tighter grip, and what it does is it kind of pushes out the index cards a bit, so it makes it easier to flip. And having that binder clip on the back just holds everything together. So I know you can't really see like that. Where is it? Sorry. Everything's the opposite of where I'm trying to do, you know? So let's move over to my computer. And I have a few other things that are going to be a little bit more than what you're seeing. Hold on, I don't want any... Give me 1 second. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. And it didn't do it, so still giving it to me here. Let's just change this so we can see it a little better. I'll go with a red here. Let me just fix this real quick. And then, no, I don't know why it's doing that. I'll just remove it when I draw. So what I have here is I created a ground line, which you can see right here. All right, hold on. Let's come back over here. New layer. And I don't know, it deleted the layer I was working on earlier. So let's just do what I wanted to do before, or what I had set up before. And remove frames. Okay. So what happens in animation here, I got to create an arc. What I sometimes like to do, and I'll turn this layer off and show you my other arc, which is no longer there. Interesting. I must have accidentally deleted it. Anyway, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, here it is. So you can see I have this curved arc. It's very light on the screen, but it's a curved arc, because usually I'd work more that way. But if you're working on what's the word I'm looking for here? On the index cards, you're probably going to have more room to drop and bounce. And you'll notice one of the things I have with my arc here is that the every time I cut about halfway, because as a ball drops, it loses power and it cuts about half. So Noah, yes, I actually am a trained animator. Thank you for posting it on my YouTube channel on the Facebook page. I appreciate that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start with a ball, and I'm just, ooh, sorry, that's a little thick of a brush. Okay, so I'm going to come with this ball right here. It's not the most perfect, and let me zoom in so you guys can see it better. And what you want to do when you're dropping the ball is you want to keep relative shape in there. So my ball, if I was to redraw it like right next to it here, right, that's about the same size. At some point, it's going to do what we call stretching, all right? But it's got to maintain. So if that ball kind of fit right in here and stretched, you know, it's gonna get thinner because the top and the bottom here are stretching. So let me erase all that right there. And I'm going to just give you a quick, I'm going to switch back to my camera just so you can see something. Whoops, I did not mean to, that's what I wanted to do. So squash and stretch happens in all aspects of ourselves. So for example, okay, we have kind of, you know, we can kind of stretch our cheeks and stuff, right? So if I was to squash, when I smile, you see my face squashes, my cheeks go up. All right, they push out. If I look shocked, my jaw drops. Now it's a little harder to tell when you have a beard, but it happens in natural life. So what we're doing with this is we are replicating, kind of some natural ability. And when we do this here, oops, and we're animating, gravity is going to pull it off. So if I come in and let's say I go out to frame 1, 2, let's go to frame 5, right? Weird, my pen's not doing what I want it to do right now. I'm sorry. I do apologize. There it goes. So now I'm going to insert what we call a blank keyframe. And the reason that changed colors, I have what's called the onion skin effect on. When you're using the index cards, and if you use kind of a marker type, you should be able to see, even if it's not like super bright in the room. So right around frame 5, I'm going to have it start to stretch. And I know it looks kind of far, right? And if I go, you can see it's just this. It's not that far of a jump. So let's go to frame 9 here. Insert a new keyframe if it lets me for some reason. It's not here. I'm not having the best luck today with my pen. I might have to change my point or something. I'm sorry, let me just do it on my computer with my mouse. Insert blank keyframe. All right, so then what we do at the bottom, when it hits the bottom, it squashes. All right, so insert timeline. Sorry, nope, wrong. That's not the one I want. I forgot how to, I'm sorry, I forgot how to turn onion skin off. It's been a while since I've used this program. Oh, it's under control. Okay, so I want onion skin off for a second, just so you guys can see that. So if we look at this and we watch it play, right? It's all kind of kept the same form, but it's jumping around a lot, right? Doesn't look right. So let's go back. Timeline. And onion skin. So now if I come back and I go, say, to frame 2 here, and I got to do this again with my mouse, and I insert a keyframe, a blank keyframe. When something's dropping, it usually has this slowness of a drop. So I'm not going to drop it a lot. I'm just going to drop it a bit. And then I'm going to go into, I'll just do insert up here. Be quicker. Blank keyframe. And then I'm going to insert another one. And that's too big. We want, again, we want to try to keep the same form going on. Okay. So if I was to control and timeline, turn the onion skin off, and we look at it, it's going to be moving. It's moving a little better, right? But what I'm going to do between this frame and this frame is I want to add another one. And insert. And what's going to happen here is the drop is going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit bigger. And what I want to start doing is I want to start kind of stretching it a bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. Okay. And by doing that, I already feel that the next one here needs to be a little larger. So I could hand draw it, or luckily on the computer, I could always come up a little bit more, and I'm going to just kind of start moving it down. All right. And I might, actually what I might do is here, insert timeline, blank keyframe, and I might, actually, you know what? Undo that. I'm sorry. Sometimes I think I like to think when I'm working here. I want to copy that keyframe. Okay, and I want to take that and I want to drop it a bit more. And then I'm going to bring what I have on frame 10 over here back into frame 7. Okay, so if I remove the onion skin, which is shift, okay, and I just watch this really quick, right? You can see how it's moving, right? So let me play this. It's at 30 frames a second, which means this is going to go really quick. But oh, I think it went a little too slow, don't you? It was a little. Let's see. Let's see. No, you say, I do have a drawing pad. Could I use that even if it's not hooked up to its right site? I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean by that, but you can use a drawing pad for that. All you need is paper that you can see through. Let me switch over back to my camera real quick and show you guys something. All right. So I have paper behind me. I'm on my digital side of my room. My paper is my traditional side. I really don't want to waste paper right now. But what you could do is say, I'm going to take a bunch of sheets of paper and just fold it in half, right? And if you fold it in half and you got a series of papers that's thick, go to the bottommost, draw the first image, cover the next one over it, look through it. If you can't see through it, go to your window on a nice day like it is right now. Now, if you're using index cards and you're using a marker, you could see, and what I've done with this here is I've actually switched the orders. I did this, backwards, and then switched the orders. I don't know if you can see it on here, but I got I got two, where is it here? I got two little balls, right? And I don't know if we can see with the light, but if we go in quick, you can kind of see, you can see through it, right? So that's all I'm doing. And what I'm doing here on the computer is the same thing, but the digital version of it. And I'm just doing it on the computer so we can actually see the movement go a little better. All right, so let's go back to the computer. Okay, so we were going through this, right? And we were scrubbing, and it's not too bad, but I feel that maybe, let me play it one more time. I don't know. I'll look at it again afterwards. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back down to this one here, and I'm going to insert a blank keyframe, and I got to turn my onion skin on again so I can see where the previous one was. Now, some animators don't work with you know, the onion skin too often. I don't do it a lot either when I'm just kind of demoing here. I use it when I'm demoing. When I'm not demoing, I try not to use it a lot. So I don't like that right there. Okay. So if we watch this, then it's a little harder with the onion skin on. But let's turn it off again. Hold on, it was Command-Shift-O, I believe. Let's get off that Command-Shift-O. That's not it. Okay, never mind. I was trying to do the key commands. That's a Shift. I thought that was Command. Oh, it's Option. Sorry. I'll remember that. So if we watch that, you see how it's coming down and now it bounced back up? And now when we get over here, to the next frame, it's going to start getting back to its more original size, right? And then when it reaches the top, it's going to still be that original size. Always when it's at the top of each fall, it's always going to be the original size. So let's just give it a quick play. So I'm not 100% happy with it. There are things I would fix. All right. And I'm going to have to go through it and edit these things. And that's why it's great to do these on regular sheets of paper or index cards, because they're not super expensive. And you could just take one out. Like, one of the things I think I want to do is, I think one of these, let me just play it one more time. Yeah, one of those at the top I think needs to go. I don't know if it's that one or that one. You know what I want to do? Hold on. Let's do this. I'm just going to move it over a little bit. I think that's actually the problem, is that I drew it a little, yeah, see, I drew it a little off-centered. I think that's, yeah, okay. So as it's going up, and then we go into the next frame, it's going to start going slow again. And let me get that. So it was Shift Option. Oh, there it is. So there it is. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw another one that is about the same size. But then when I go into, and I know it looks kind of difficult to see, but when I go into the next one, that's when I'm going to start dropping it and stretch. I'm going to be stretching it out. This is the squash right here. And don't feel bad if you have to constantly redraw it or try it out again. Like, honestly, I think this that I drew is a little small. I want to, whoops, undo that. Okay. Now I got it. I might need this to be a little larger. Does that look better? It looks a little weird. I do understand that. Okay. Let's go over to here. Now this one here, it's going to start stretching, but because it's a smaller leap, it may not be as big as a stretch. And Noah, just to answer your question, I know I answered it when you said, oh, also you're an animator. My first job when I was 18 years old, I worked for a educational video game company in Terrytown, New York. And I started off as a character designer, but within a couple of months, I became, I started animating. And I animated more on the computer. It wasn't really traditional stuff. But it was something that I enjoyed, and I did work in animation for quite a bit. I did some what do they call it? Web animation back when, like, I don't want to say the internet was new, but you know, late 90s, early 2000s. I did some. I haven't animated professionally in a while. I'd love to start doing it again. I love animation. It is my it's my true passion. I mean, I cartoon, but that's because it's just one of the forms. I've always loved character animation. So you can see here that there's going to be almost no squash anymore happening. Whoops, what I hit. Insert. And then you got the size, and there's not even going to be on the last one any form of a squash. Because it's going to be the same size. And then what happens is when it doesn't bounce anymore, it's going to start rolling. So I might give it just a little bit of a height up. Okay. Insert timeline. Okay, I'm just going to go out to 30 frames with this, or as far as I can, because that's how many frames per second it is. An FPS, it stands frame per second, so that means how many frames pass your eye in this here, in animation, as it passes the screen here. So you can see I've been doing this now for about 20 minutes, and I don't even have a full second of animation completed. And so, and now I'm doing something on purpose because I want to show you how I'd go in and fix it. And I'm at 24 frames. I know I said I was going to go up to 30, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the time up into this and just change my frame rate to oh, interesting. I'm going to change it to 24 frames per second, which is very traditional. Wow, this is... And I hit and that took me down to 21. 27, 17, 23, 24. Oh, it's 23 frames per second right now. Having a little issue grabbing that. So if I was to, let's remove the onion skin. Option Shift O. And I'm going to remove the arc. Let me find the one I made there. Oh, I did it on the ground layer, huh? No. Turn that there. Okay. There we go. So now if I go back to the beginning, and I'm going to stop all these. Let me just cut all this here. Actually, no, leave it. I'm going to need it for something. Okay. So let's take a look. Okay. Let's try that again. That doesn't look too bad. There are places I do want to go in and fix. That was weird. It looked for a second like there was two in one spot. Yep. Do I have two? Did I mess up? Yep, right here. So I accidentally did these on the same frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over one frame. I'm going to come to this, and I'm going to, whoops. I want to select that one, cut it. Oops, I missed some of it. Okay, cut it. Okay, come to here, insert new blank keyframe, and then I'm going to go to edit, paste in place. So now let's take a look. I think that looks pretty good. And what'd you say here? That's interesting that you are a character designer for video games, because I'm making games. I don't know what BMS. Oh, by myself, and they'll be ready in 3 years. That's fantastic. I don't know how old you are, Noah, but it's great that you're learning and you're doing stuff on your own. I'm going to tell you, this is, again, I know I do this for younger kids, and I don't know what age group is currently watching. And I'm going to tell you something about what I've always told my college students when I teach college. I have a lot of students who wanted to go into gaming. And they played games constantly. They knew how to beat every level or whatever it was. They knew everything about the games they thoroughly enjoyed, right? But they weren't making games. And when they were leaving college, they were having trouble getting jobs. Excuse me, I just took a sip of water. And that's because they didn't really have many games that they made except what they were doing in class. So if you take the time out, and it's great to love video games, it's great to play them, but if you really want to make them, learn to make them. You know, there's some great sites for kids out there to learn. If you are old enough, again, I don't know your age, but if you are old enough and you want to start learning coding, like on your own, there's different types of coding you can learn. You can learn the software called Unity. And Unity has, that's very, very advanced. I had people build my app in Unity for me. I did the artwork, but I'm not a programmer, so I was able to have someone else build it. So really, it's great that you're doing that. I hope you're young and you're doing it. The more you do it, and if that's what you really want to do, you're going to you're going to be better off than most other kids that you go to school with. Follow your passion. I'm going to tell a little story real quick. When I was a kid, animation truly was my love. I don't remember much other than just constantly drawing. I remember drawing out of the comics, comic books. I used to record TV, cartoons on TV, playback the cartoons. Let me just do this here. It's easier when I'm talking instead of you guys staring at a blank screen for the most part. So I used to just record the cartoons, drew what I saw on TV, and when I really wanted to learn how to animate, I used to try to play the cartoons back in slow motion to see if I can figure out how people animated. It wasn't the best way to learn, but I saw little things here and there, and then I got to see behind the scenes footage of how they made cartoons and stuff. I got one of my favorite cartooning books of all time, which I keep next to me right now for these lessons, Cartoon Animation by Preston Blair. If you really want to learn like old school design and style, this is the book for you. I eventually started reading. I'm sorry. I got an issue with my chair for a second. And I started reading other books. This is a book that I really enjoy. It's called The Nobel Approach. Nobel, his name is Maurice Nobel, or Nobel. I don't know how they properly pronounce it, but he was the layout artist for Chuck Jones's unit in the Looney Tunes cartoons. So Chuck Jones was a director. He directed a lot of different cartoons. He had a little bit more of the intelligent type of cartoons. That's what I like to call them. They were, like What's Opera Doc, where Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd are in the opera, and it's the whole kill the wabbit. Duck Dodgers in the 24th and 1/2 century, the Scarlet Pumpernickel. All those cartoons were Chuck Jones cartoons. He was even the one who created the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And this guy right here went to Chuck one day, from what I understand, and he said, we're always doing these beautiful backgrounds, but our characters are getting lost in them. So what if we start simplifying the backgrounds and creating and have the characters pop? It'll make the characters pop. So they started doing that, and you can see it specifically in Roadrunner cartoons. As the Roadrunner cartoons, got further along, their backgrounds got less and less, and it was almost like just imagery and shapes being used as graphics to represent items. So like you can see right here, where is it? On this page here, this is from What's Opera Doc, down here, this picture. And if we move over here, we can see that. So this didn't have a realistic background, and I'm not saying Maurice Noble was the first one to do that, but at least in the Looney Tunes cartoons, I believe he was. All right. So if this is what you love, Noah, if this is, if it's gaming, and you said I've learned coding and I'm 10. So, 10 years old. I think that's what, 4th grade about, which is fantastic. That's fantastic. I think that's great. I don't know what kind of coding you've learned, but keep at it. So let's go back here and just see what can I fix. Let's watch it one more time. Okay, I gotta watch it one more time. I feel like it was jerky. That's not too bad. I'm actually, I don't know why it's moving so slow. You know what bothers me? Down here, these little bounces. I think I might have too much on this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of fatten it up a little bit. And again, all this, I'm doing this because I have the computer, I have the techniques, but all this would be done by hand. You just take a new index card or something. And there is some smaller ones here. So like, I feel like that should be bigger. Let's look. No. Okay, let's hit play. And that roll at the end is pretty nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these extra frames right here. So let's turn on the onion skin. Option Shift O. And I'm going to insert a few more keyframes. And I'm just going to come now over here and just draw it out until it's officially, officially gone. And a couple more times. Let's go to the next one here. I'm just going to make this a 30 frame animation for now. And you notice how I'm spacing it out. The more space I give something like that, the more, let's just get that selected. The more spacing I have, the more, the faster the animation will go. Okay? Oops, wrong way. So I'm almost at the end of this here. What I'll do is I'll put one right here, and then I'll leave the last one empty so we don't see it. Control, oops, sorry. Option Shift O. So now if we were to watch it, I feel, because I don't know, there's a little weirdness with this bounce over here, but I feel it's a computer thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick test by export. Let's just do it this way. I think it's Command Enter, and it ended up on my other page. So I'll show you what I'm seeing. And when I do this, it shows the layers I have hidden. So I don't know. It's a little choppy there. So I got to go in and really play around and see what can I figure out, and why does that need, what does it need to be fixed. And this is something that happens constantly, over and over and over again. It's never perfect the first time. To be honest, this is a rough drawing. If I was really going to clean this up, I'd create a new layer, and every layer I would really come in and either try to clean it up on the computer and get, whoops, let's not get red. Let's get another color. Let's get black so we can see it better. And I would really try to get a nice shape, and that's not a nice shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to up my brush size. Okay, just a bit. And if I turn the layer off below it, I mean, it's not the most perfect, but I'm cleaning that up. I can come in and erase, like, let's say right around here. And maybe I want to try to make it a little more round. Okay, so that's a much better ball. And then I can say, hey, you know what color is the ball going to be? And let's give it, I don't know, like here, like this yellow. Where's my paint bucket? Paint bucket right there. And I can fill it in. And I would do that on every layer. I would go back to each frame and copy each frame. So that's what I do. So this, what I created here, is just a rough. This is to give me an idea. All right, Noah. Uh-oh. I really got to fix my chair here. So with animation, the more you practice, the better you're going to get. All right. Once you learn all the techniques, it does take time to master them. After having the techniques down, it's probably going to take you, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 years before you actually really understand animation. Animation, non-real characters. Noah, what do you mean by that? Do you mean you animate things that are inanimate objects, or? No, but I mean, what do you mean non-real creatures? Do you mean you make like monsters when you animate? Do you? Uh-oh. I'm sorry. I hit something here. So things that aren't living. So you mean like boxes and toasters and zombies? All right. Lumians? I'm not familiar with the term lumians. So yeah, I think I'm going to make this one a little short today. I'm going to end at this right here. I want, and then the reason I'm going to do this, because I want you guys to practice. I want you guys to take the time to really use the techniques that I showed you and get out that index card, fold the piece back. You know what, if you don't have a binder clip, use, tight with your hand, make your hands tight when you do it. Oh, they're Pokemon. Okay, I'm not familiar too much with Pokemon. I know what it is, but I don't follow it. Fold the back of the paper so you have it good. Put wrap it in maybe masking tape or something, or something that really will. Let me get it in here. You can't see it, but I'm seeing it right now. I want to try to get it to you guys right here so you guys can see. I'm going to remove this. Okay, I got to go at an angle here, and nope, too far. Which way do I got to turn it? This way. It's not moving right now for me. At this angle, it's an uncomfortable angle to do it at. So that's it today. Practice your animation, practice the bouncing ball, make other things move if you want. I'll show other things next time. I mean, I'm not going to go deep into animation with you, but I'm going to show you guys some other animated techniques. And thanks for tuning in. I will see you guys next time. All right. And thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.